Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today we're going to be making a very simple winter fox. And the first step we're going to go ahead and do is to draw out the basic shapes. So here's step one. Now you can finish this with markers, crayons. Oil pastel would be great with this if you don't have paint at home, because you can layer color on dark paper. But this is our first lines that we're going to go ahead and do. And I'm going to go just straight to paint with these lines. I'm going to do a white paint. So I'm going to outline my fox in white first. So these lines will be white, but if you want to use pencil or like a marker like this first, that's fine. That's up to you. So let's get started on this. Let me show you some examples of third grade. So these were, let's see, it's the beginning of third grade, so they're 8 years old right here, some 8-year-old paintings. And this was done in just 35 minutes. And then here's another student's right here. And the second day they can come on back and add any more detail they'd like. But I wanted to show you those quick before I forgot. And we're gonna go ahead and now get started. So what I do is we start off, and if you look at this painting or picture right here, this is the exact center of the page. So in the very center, that's where I'm just gonna put a dot, because that'll be his little nose. And actually, I think I do want to use this paper here. So sorry, I'm going to use this one. So I'm going top to bottom, finding my very middle, and I'm going to put a dot, which is going to be his nose. And from there, we're going to do a letter V. So I'm going to come up from this diagonally and up on this again on the other side diagonally. And I just draw right with my brush up and up on this side. And this is, it's no big deal if you make it too big or too small. This is where you can just adjust it with your paint. That's why I like paint better. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to curve the top right here. And I don't have to get perfect painted lines, because this is just my rough sketch with the paint. And then I'm going to jump in a little bit. So we've got the V, the line curved. Let me blow this up so you can see it a little bit better. And then we're going to come up, and I'm going to come in about a finger space, and then I'm going to do up and back, like the capital letter A, but I'm not going to put the center. I'm going to skip a finger over here, and I'm going to go up and back as well. Try and make them the same size. If not, that's what the beauty of paint is. You can just paint over it and make it the same size. Because look, they're all going to be colored in anyways and painted in right here. Now we're going to start in on the facial features. So we're just going to come in on each side like this, make a little mask for him. Let me show you on this one here. And I'm going to paint in the white areas. So I'm going to paint in this little area here, and then like a little mask, like I said. I'm skipping down about a finger and a finger on this side, and then I'm going to curve it in to the nose. Curve it in and down to the nose. So this area just gets painted in white. And I like my pictures to be pretty painterly, so you don't have to worry about perfect edges. This is tempera paint, by the way, that we're using in my elementary class. I don't like using any other paint because it's not as washable as this. Now, if you look here, this is not the exact same size, so that's why I can just easily paint it and make it almost the same space in between. There, because paint can hide paint and fix areas that aren't the same by just overpainting. All right, so now we've got that. Now, let me bring it back down so you can see the whole picture. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and map out his body. I'm going to come from the face. Here's the top edge of the face here. And then the nose, I'm going to go halfway up and put a mark right here. Same thing on this side, nose, and where the end of the face, little eye area ends, put a mark right here, halfway. So this is the area that's going to come down. So I'm going to come down diagonally. Let me get some more paint. down diagonally, and down diagonally on this side. Kind of looks like a little raccoon the way he's coming out now. And then it's about 4 fingers before the bottom. I'll show you on the bottom. And I'm going to come and round it right here. Now we're going to swing around. Here's his tail. Look at how the tail wraps around the body. So I'm going to not come to the edge, but go up about 2 fingers. Put a mark, and I'm going to swing down, curve around like the letter C, down around, right from the bottom, and then I'm going to swing up like that. And this is a 12 by 18 piece of paper. And of course, if you want to scale it down, you can scale it down to any size you want. And then bring it back. Keep this pointy because the tail is pretty pointy. Now I'm going to go ahead and do, there's 2 straight lines here. This is the area where his legs are. So these would form the legs, and this is his inner body here. Now his little tummy or chest area, and I'm going to come down with a brush stroke, down and curve in. See how I'm doing my brush strokes? Down and curve in. Because I want this chest area to be kind of pointy here. And this is basically white, so I'm just going to give a lot of white here. Now, once we have the white mapped out, like this, we're going to go ahead and start adding some color to him. Now, the areas that are left, I'm going to start off by coloring in with some orange. So I'm not even going to wash my brush. I'm just going to go right into the orange, and I'm doing some strokes coming down. Now, you want to remember that the way you paint this in is the way that the hair is going to flow onto the fox. So if his hair comes down, your brush strokes are going to go in the downward direction, like this. And I'm just layering it lightly. And then when it dries, I'm going right over my edges. And when it dries, I'll add some other coats to this. But I'm just giving a base coat right now of the orange. And on edges, you can overlap. Don't worry about that. Now his tail, the way I'm going to do my brush strokes is going to be horizontal. So these strokes on the body are mainly vertical. And so these strokes, this is a horizontal line going across the page. So my strokes are going to be short and choppy, coming across. And then where the tail curves, my strokes are going to be curving downward. And this is important because we're layering and keeping the brush strokes, you can see here, showing. Kind of impressionistic. Let me show you some close-ups so that you get the feel of the fur. So the strokes are creating the actual fur. I want to make sure I get all that blue covered, or as much of the blue as possible. Now the white, now this is our first coat. I'm going to get the orange up in here, paint it in as a base coat. And then I'm going to paint in the outer ears here. And then I want a little bit in his chest area, right in here. And we're going to come back with more white on top as well, but I just want to give it a little base coat up here. We want a little bit of orange because where his little face meets, we want a little bit of difference between the face and the chest. And we want some of this fur to show through. Like I said, we're going to come back with lots of white. Now this is starting to dry down here, so I'm going to go ahead and add another coat of paint. This tempera is school kid tempera, so it's not as opaque as what I like. And I'm going to add another coat. And if you do it thin enough, it's going to dry as fast as I'm is my picture. So I'm giving another coat to its tail. And it dries pretty quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and give another coat up here. Now I'm going to hit some more white. I want the tail to be white in here. This is a great opaque white here. It's white tempera. Now you can start in on making some nice brush strokes now. Let's add, with my white, I'm coming back now. I want a whiter chest area right in here. And I'm keeping those strokes down and curving to form that, it's almost like a triangle peak here. Now I can bring in a little bit if I want of, ooh, I think that's too much of the red. Let me add some brown. And bring it up in as shadow. Let's get some more white down here. And that's what's great about paint. When you make mistakes, hide it. I'm going to leave this little face area like that, but I'm going to give some brush stroke in here, right in his ears. He has little furry ears coming out, so I'm starting in here and pulling out, like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some strokes to the edge of his tail with my white, and remember, horizontal. And the tip of his tail is real white, a lot of real white. I'm going to add a little bit of brown on my edges, just so that you can see the different values in the white. And I'll put a little bit of brown with some orange. So I've double dipped here and come across. Now I'm going to work up this area with some more orange, with some brown. Now those little lines here, he's darker here, so I'm going to put some brown lines coming down where his leg meets. And then I'm going to put some orange. And I'm going to put a hint of purple. That'll darken it up. Right in here, little strokes. Purple with orange. There's some darker value. I'm going to put a little bit of darker value on this edge here. And a little bit of strokes in here as well. Coming down. Let's get this orange. Now I'm going to go ahead and I want to clean off my brush here, and I want to put some really dark value. So the last thing I'm going to do is add some small, and I'm going to wipe most of that paint off that tip. Small little strokes down here. I'm going to put a little black nose. He'll really start coming alive now. And just little scratches of fur right in here. I'm going to do a straight, kind of well, almost a diagonal, but it's a straight. And then I'm going to just do it, press the brush for the little eye. I'm not going to do a lot of detail. And then I'm going to do some, maybe a little outline coming down here. Just little strokes to give the fur feeling. And my brush is pretty dry. If you want to even wipe it a lot of it off. Let me show you over here how I do that. Just wipe a lot, and then barely touch, and then kind of twirl it so you get a real little skinny point. And then I'm going to, down it with curves, just give light fur. So it's pretty dry paint, not a lot of, make sure your brush is dry, and then you just get strokes. so that you can do the detail in the chest. And then I'm going to bring out a few little strokes down here to show the darker shadow where his leg meets the tummy area, just little light strokes. So I'm not coming with a distinct outline, it's more just light strokes to reiterate the fur flow, the way the flow of fur is going. Long furry strokes here, and then just some strokes in here. Diagonal, it's kind of like I'm just petting him back and forth, just gently back and forth, barely touching. I don't want lots on my brush. There's barely any paint there. And then on the edge here. And then maybe just down this edge, just a little bit. So he is very furry. So we've built up these layers and layers of fur. Now, sometimes if you overdo the black, you can always come back with a clean white brush after your black dries and just bring out that bright, bright white, just so that you have a little bit of that highlights. And if you need to add a little bit, maybe make a little bit more of my ears here. And then you want to have some, oops, I want to wipe a lot of it off. I don't want puddles of white, because I just want a pretty dry brush right in here and barely touch. It's like little whispers, barely touching the canvas to give little whispers of white here. Now, once that's done, and you can play with this until you're satisfied, you know, how you like your fur and the colors and the textures, but I'm pretty happy with it right now. Maybe a little bit more bright white on the tail, because they do have, and look how it covers that. If the black is dry, it'll just cover it. And then maybe a little bit more of just the strokes here of the white hitting the sun, because you've got all those beautiful layers in there. Now, have fun decorating the background. And you can see what I've done here. I have put him in a little snowy environment. So you can use your imagination with that and just have some fun playing with the snow and snow-covered trees. And what I do for that is I just start with little dabs of color coming down here. And then I just bring it out. These are trees far, far in the background. Just pull it out, and keep just wisps. And you want the blue to show through this blue paper. I'm starting here, pulling out, pull out. And the blue will give the shadows in the snow. And then you can give some land. And there's, like I said, there's not a lot. Let me wipe that brush a little bit clean. There's not a lot of wet on my brush. It's just that pure tempera paint. And then you can give little snow drifts in here. Don't get too close. If you do, barely. Snow drifts and things. Taller trees coming in. And if you want some, and you do that tree the same as you've done this one. Pull out. Pull down and out. You can do some, you know, even some tracks in the snow if you want. Footprints. You know, you can do a moon if you want. Use your imagination. Hills and mountains. Here's a hill and a mountain. I'm going to have an end before that. And then just do some wisps of snow. Again, not too much near him because you don't want him to blend in. And then if these are the mountains, just pull down. Snow-covered mountains. You do the outline. Let's see. And then just pull it down, because the side of the mountain's in shadow, like you have here, just like that. And then maybe he's got some, you know, maybe you have some bushes right here in the front. Just kind of dab, circular shape, like you would almost like clouds. These could be little bushes up front. Or a little snow pile, snow covering something, snow covering a rock or a bush. And then the bottom, just kind of pull it. I'm using the side of my brush. See how I do that? It's almost like a giant snowball here. And then this is long strokes. And when I do my strokes in the background, I make some long, just sideways, and then some short, kind of like you would do. And don't overdo all the white. It just needs a little bit. And pull it down a little bit. I don't want to, like I said, don't get too close to that fox. But now he's in a little winter wonderland up in here. Of course, you can add more trees and however you want it. But have fun creating your little furry winter fox. And please be sure to subscribe if you like the video so that I can make more. The more subscribers, the more videos I'll make.